Next is the bullet seater. And again, we're just setting up. We're not actually reloading yet. Not reloading yet. We're just getting the die set up. So this will be a dummy round where we're done. I don't have a primer in it, and I'm not going to put powder in it. That'll just be used to test the action, make sure all that's good. It'll stay in the die box. So if I ever take these off, normally, you know, this head comes off, so they should never get bumped. But if they do get bumped, or I try a longer bullet, for example, I'd have to adjust all this. Then you can just put your dummy back on there, and it's really easy to set it. Kind of need a bullet on there. I might need a little more bell yet. And same thing, you got to back all this stuff out. Alright, set your bullet on there. I might have to flare that just a bit more. Run it up in there, there shouldn't be any resistance. Then you should be able to screw this down until you feel the bullet right there. Okay, you can back off a little bit, and then you just turn maybe a little bit more. That, I kind of felt it seat there a little bit. Let's see. Okay, and obviously it doesn't seat it very much at all, so we'll go ahead and give it, like, say 2.5 turns. There's a little bit more resistance. So still pretty long. I just work it in. This is not something you want to do when you're in a hurry. You know, you're not doing this 10 minutes before the match. And once you get this stuff set, especially on like a turret, or if you got a turret head like these Dillons, once you have it all set, you don't do this again unless you know, a single stage. Sometimes, yeah, you're constantly messing with the dice, swapping them in and out. Yeah, you might be doing this every time you, at least adjusting. You don't have to do the total setup, but you know. So you just kind of keep going, kind of eyeball it until you get close to where you think you need to be. Let's take a look with our handy dandy calipers. And we're looking for 2.2. There is a 2.325. So it's, what is that? That's about a 100th too long. So it's getting close. You put it back in there, maybe about a half a turn. Some guys like digital. I like analog mainly because it seems like whenever I need one, I grab it and then the batteries are dead. No, this is going to work. You know, it's not going to run out of batteries. It's not going to be affected by light. You don't have to have a little bit more. Now the problem is you want to do this slowly, because if you go too far, you got to get out your bullet puller and pull the cartridge and resize and start over. Now right here, this is at an even, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but that's at an even 2.30. So we're almost there. There we go, 2.225. That is a beast of a cartridge. There's a 240 grain 44 mag cartridge next to the 250 grain 450 Bushmaster. Quite impressive. Okay, so that is the bullet seating die, and now we'll do the factory crimp die. Alright, and so same thing with the factory crimp die. There's these little cuts, there's 4 little cuts in there, and that's, as you put the bullet up in there, that's what crimps the brass. So it takes that flare out and also makes it bite into the bullet to hold the bullet in. Now that's important because under heavy recoil, especially in a magazine, you know, there's momentum and it's in there, and it will actually, you will have bullet setback. It will actually shove the bullet into the case a little bit each time that gun goes off. And the bigger the recoil, the bigger that's going to be. Like a 223, barely give it a little bit of a crimp because there's not a whole lot of recoil there, and there's enough room in the magazine that the bullet's not pressed up against the magazine, so you don't really have to worry about it on like a 223. My 44 mag loads, they get a pretty heavy crimp. If they're in the Marlin, they're getting rattled around that tube. Even in a revolver, you'll have the opposite on a revolver, okay? So in a magazine, it'll get pushed in. On a revolver, like a Red Hawk, or your classic cowboy gun will go off and that bullet will actually pull out of the case a little bit. What will happen is that bullet will come out, and you got your cylinder. Eventually that bullet will creep out past the cylinder like that, and then when you go to pull the trigger and cock the hammer and rotate that cylinder, it'll lock up on you, and now you can't get your gun open, now you can't fire. Probably a lot of cowboys met their end that way. So this this die is the same way. You turn it down, put it in until it bottoms out. It says a turn, maybe a half a turn more, and then you lock it. Now, that should be the lightest crimp where it's set, according to Lee's manual. So we'll put this in, and you can actually watch it. Alright, so here's the crimp die, and you can see those little cuts I was talking about. There's two of them, the other two are in the dark. So here comes the bullet and the cartridge all the way to the bottom of the stroke, and you should be able to see just barely how the brass cartridge is just touching that carbide crimp area there. So that should be the lightest crimp, just enough to take out that flare. If you want more crimp, you would just unlock it, turn it like 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch, and that's going to be a significant increase. You keep cranking it down, you're just going to get a tighter and tighter crimp. The crimping from the other perspective, easy enough. And then that is it. And there is our dummy cartridge of our 450 Bushmaster. So thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe. Talk to you later. See ya.